Friends, good evening. Today I stand before you to present few more facts with documented evidence with regards to the unforgivable sin that the previous YCP government committed by adulterating Lord Balaji's Laddu Prasad. Today we have on our screen a resolution which was passed by TTD and signed by none other than Y.V. Subbareddy, the previous chairman and uncle of Jagan Reddy. So you can see here very clearly, this is a resolution number 371 signed by Y.V. Subbareddy. So what was this resolution for? This resolution is to alter the tender conditions for the supply of ghee. So what they have done, everything in a pre-planned manner. The first step they have done is they have altered the tender conditions. If you look at the tender conditions that were altered, you will be surprised to know various conditions that were entirely removed and a few conditions which were tweaked. For example, previously, for all kinds of ghee tenders for procurement of cow ghee, there were conditions like the dairy should have been operational at least for the past 3 years. This is the existing tender condition. Y.V. Subbareddy as TTD chairman, just to collude with companies like AR Foods, just to benefit companies like AR Foods, he had changed that condition to what? The dairy should have been operational at least for the past 1 year. They've changed the 3-year criteria, operational experience, to 1 year. And few conditions they have entirely removed. Previously, there was a condition which says the dairy should have been collecting at least 4 lakh liters of cow milk per day for the last 1 year. This condition number 19 is entirely removed. Condition number 20, it also shall have a processing capacity of minimum of 8 tons of cow milk fat or ghee in excess of its market requirement. Even that condition was entirely removed. So, like this, they have either changed or entirely removed certain conditions. And also there is one other important condition which they have changed. Here you can see condition number 72. Annual turnover of the firm should be at least 250 crore. This is the minimum requirement for any company which wants to participate in the bid for the ghee tender. That was reduced to 150 crore. Annual turnover of the firm should be at least 150. 250 had been reduced to 150. So like this, Y.V. Subbareddy himself as chairman, through a special resolution, had changed all the tender, most of the tender conditions in the procurement for the procurement of cow ghee to favor companies like AR Foods. So pre-plannedly what they did, they changed the tender conditions by colluding with AR Foods. And then after tweaking, after changing all these conditions, then they have gone for the tender. And today, if you look at the annual turnover of AR Foods, in the Ministry of, as per the information of Ministry of Corporate Affairs, it is less than 250 crore. It is only 244. So AR Foods, they know that their annual turnover doesn't meet the actual requirement to participate in the tender. That's the reason why they have colluded, and they have reduced the annual turnover requirement in the tender from 250 to 150. And this was signed by none other than Jagan Reddy's uncle Y.V. Subbareddy. That is the reason why he is running away from appearing before the vigilance inquiry. Though vigilance inquiry had served 4 notices, he has not responded and is running away. Now he has gone to the court, asking the court to cancel the vigilance inquiry. Why is he doing that? Because he had done all these crimes. He himself had signed these kind of resolutions. And the second part is, if you look at the whole story, so now there are other doubts that are being raised. So the YSRCP, after getting caught red-handed, by adulterating cow ghee with animal fat, now they are trying to, shift the blame, confuse people, mislead people, by doing all kinds of false propaganda. What they are saying? They are saying now that the adulterated ghee that was supplied by AR Foods was never used. So where is the question of adulteration, in the cow ghee? The adulterated cow ghee being used in the preparation of Lord Balaji's Prasad Laddu. But if you look at the facts, the tender to procure ghee through which AR Foods was selected was released on 12th of March 2024 when Karunakar Reddy was the chairman and Jagan Reddy is the chief minister of the state. This tender was finalized in favor of AR Foods on 8th of May when Jagan Mohan Reddy is the chief minister. The purchase order for supply of ghee to AR Foods was released on 15th of May 2024 when Karunakar Reddy, Jagan Reddy's another uncle, was the TTD chairman and he himself, Jagan Reddy himself, is the chief minister. So the whole process of allocation of this final allocation of this tender, finalization of this tender in favor of AR Foods happened during the YSRCP regime. And the purchase order even was released only during their regime. So the whole crime, colluding with AR Foods, it is a classic example of quid pro quo. You give us the money what we want, we'll change all the tender conditions. We'll do whatever we want. We are not bothered about the kind of ghee you supply. So, knowingly they have committed this unforgivable sin. So, after the purchase order was released, AR Foods in total had supplied 8 tankers of ghee. This is very important. A total of 8 tankers of ghee arrived from AR Foods, AR Dairy. The first 4 tankers came on 12th of June, 20th of June, 25th of June and 4th of July. So, the first 4 tankers came on these dates. These 4 tankers were tested in the laboratory that is existing in Tirumala. It is a very basic laboratory which conducts basic tests to check the amount of moisture that is present, the color and other basic parameters. So, when these 4 tankers were checked, they passed the basic test at the TTD lab because the existing TTD laboratory in Tirumala does not have the capacity to find out the adulterating agents. It is a very basic lab. So, it had passed. As the lab is very basic, all these 4 tankers, they have passed the test. After they have started, 4 tankers were used in the making of the laddus. After these 4 tankers passed the basic test, that ghee was consumed. It was used to make the laddus. And when that ghee was, after that ghee was consumed to make the laddus, devotees started complaining of foul smell from the laddus. As this ghee that was supplied by AR Foods and that was consumed by TTD to make the prasad, pilgrims found foul smell coming out of laddus. Then, the TTD started acting. So, after these 4 tankers were consumed and after the devotees started complaining, 4 more tankers arrived in the month of July. Those 4 tankers then were stopped because by then pilgrims have started complaining of foul smell, the laddus not being, of good quality. When all those complaints started coming, then they have stopped the other 4 tankers which arrived from AR Foods, and samples from these 4 tankers, the second batch of 4 tankers, were sent to NDDB, National Dairy Development Board's CAF laboratory, which is the most advanced laboratory in India, in the entire country. So, then it was found out through the NDDB report that animal fats were present like lard, fish oil, beef tallow, all those were found out through a report of the NDDB when they tested the samples from the second batch of 4 tankers that have arrived. So, NDDB lab confirms the use of animal fat. So, this is the entire story, of the total amount of ghee that was supplied by AR Foods, the amount of ghee that was consumed, the amount of ghee that was kept aside, and the samples were sent to NDDB. So, through this entire, from this entire scenario, you can clearly understand that yes, ghee from AR Foods was consumed. So, whatever false propaganda that the YSRCP is undertaking, is completely false. They're just saying, they're very, simply saying, that the EO had said that the samples from which the consignment of ghee that was taken was never used. Yes, samples from these 4 tankers that were sent to NDDB, that ghee was not used. But what about the previous set of 4 tankers that arrived? Was that consumed or not? This is the same quality of ghee that was supplied at the same rate of 319 rupees. AR Foods did not supply the first batch of 4 tankers at some 500 or 600 rupees a kilo. They have supplied their entire lot of 8 tankers at the same price of 319. So how can you say that adulterated ghee adulterated with animal fats was not consumed? So this clearly explains that 4 tankers of adulterated ghee was consumed, and only after the pilgrims have complained, the second batch of 4 tankers were samples were taken, and the EO, Mr. Shamal Rao, had sent them to NDDB. So from this you can understand that how knowingly what they have done. First, they have changed the tender regulations, tender conditions to favor companies like AR Foods. And second, the entire tender process, finalization of tender, releasing the purchase order, everything happened during the YSRCP regime. And after that, TTD had received 8 tankers, total 8 tankers. That was clearly stated both by the Honorable CM Nara Chandrababu Naidu Garu and also by the Honorable Minister Shri Nara Lokesh. So 8 tankers were received. The first 4 were consumed, and after we have received complaints from the pilgrims, the second batch of 4 tankers were stopped, samples were collected, sent to NDDB, and then it was found out that animal fats were present. And after the report came out, now they are asking one more question. Why did the government wait for almost like 1.5 months? Why did they take so much of time, to make it public? Mr. Naidu is a very responsible leader. The government today is a very responsible government. As soon as it got the report in its hand, it had initiated action immediately. The first thing they have done is they have blacklisted the company, AR Foods. They have sealed the 4 tankers which had this adulterated ghee. They have sent notices to them, and then the TTD constituted an expert committee to look into the whole issue and give its recommendations. Then a vigilance inquiry was ordered. So all this happened in those 45 days. After we got the report, the government had initiated so many things. And the Honorable Chief Minister, after he got the preliminary report from the vigilance inquiry, then he made a statement after reconfirming the entire, thing that had happened. The background of this, after getting complete knowledge of what exactly transpired, who were involved, then only he made a statement. So that is what a responsible Chief Minister would do. No one would, hurriedly, come before the public and speak like Jagan Reddy. We've seen how Jagan Reddy had spoken a few days back. He's just saying very simply, this is very common. It happens all the time. What is so big about it? So this is the reaction of Jagan Reddy. You're dealing with the sentiments of crores of Hindus across the globe, and you're speaking so casually. Do you expect Mr. Naidu also to speak in the same tone? Never. That is the reason why he came before the public after taking action, after setting things right. Here, in these 45 days, fresh tenders were also called, and the Karnataka Milk Federation was selected, and Nandini's ghee supply was also restored. And now you are getting quality, unadulterated, quality laddus with unadulterated ghee. So after doing all this, then he came in front of public. He told them what had happened. He also explained what steps the government had taken. And today, the state government had also formed a special investigation team, SIT, under the leadership of a IG cadre officer. And all these people, whether it is Subba Reddy or Karunakar Reddy or Jagan Mohan Reddy, whoever is involved in this unforgivable sin will be severely punished. Will be severely punished. That is what the crores of Hindus across the globe, not only Hindus, people from all religions are demanding the strongest action, because they have deliberately committed this sin. Deliberately. Just to earn money out of these ghee tenders. They have resorted to this unforgivable sin, and people across the country also should understand this. We have clearly explained how all this transpired and what actually happened. So I hope that the YSRCP will at least now, stop all kinds of false propaganda they are doing, because you are caught red-handed. We have documented evidence in hand to prove that you have deliberately done this.